There's no question in my mind that if we want peaceful sleep, our means should be peaceful. We cannot force that. The kind and gentle way, I believe, is the way. That said, this is heard online. A series of critical examinations of reports from academia and media that we look at, and we allow ourselves to vent a little bit, to share how we feel when we read these things that are reported to us. And sometimes it's lovely things like last time. Sometimes it's a little bit different. And I invite you to stay with me on another trip into bizarro land that I still think can be really, really helpful. And that's, of course, the purpose of this is to help anyone who struggles with sleep. But again, sometimes we need to allow ourselves to let our emotions out there a little bit, and that's going to happen today. But anyway, background here is that we have this the article that we're going to look at today is a suggestion from Mario, who's a member of our community, who is a follower. And I will share an email I got from Mario the other day. It's actually yesterday. Mario said, "Hi, I watch your videos on YouTube and very much appreciate the work you do. Thanks so much. I came across this sleep study which says if people take more than 30 minutes to fall asleep, their sleep quality will decrease. Here's the study if you want to look at it. Would it be nice to get your feedback on this? I ask because most nights since January this year, I struggle to fall asleep in under 2 hours. Thank you. Regards, Mario." Thank you, Mario. And of course, I'm sorry to hear about your struggle, but so glad that you are here and that we get a chance to look at this article that you found. So without further ado, let's jump in and look at the article that Mario is referring to. It is published in Nature and Science of Sleep, and it is from a group in, I think it's a mixed group. Some are in UK, some are in Sheffield, UK. So this all in UK actually, and it was published actually very recently in May of 2022. I'm kind of surprised because it says it's published on May 4th, which is tomorrow. So I think this is like not even hot off the press. It's not even impressive. It's going to be published, I guess, tomorrow. But anyways, let's take a look at this. Okay, so the title is Exploration of Potential Objective and Subjective Daily Indicators of Sleep Health in Normal Sleepers. We do find that this headline was much less triggering than the headlines we have seen in the past. So that's nice. That's nice that the author didn't choose a very triggering headline, although there is like sleep health is in there and normal sleepers are in there, whatever that means. Now, let's take a look at the purpose. So the authors say that while the concept of sleep health has only recently been defined, how it relates to both the subjective and objective sleep parameters is yet to be determined. They say in the introduction that sleep research to date has mainly focused on disturbed and distorted sleep, and the benefits of good, healthy sleep or sleep health have largely been overlooked. And already in the introduction, we see things that are kind of confusing, right? The authors are saying that, yes, it's all well that we have focused on problem sleeping, but we have overlooked looking at the sleep of people who have no trouble sleeping, and we have overlooked the benefits of good, healthy sleep, whatever that means. They just put it out there. We've overlooked the benefits of good, healthy sleep or sleep health. And it's kind of I wouldn't agree with that at all. I think we're focusing a lot on that's something we hear a lot about. So I'm not sure what this means at all, but it becomes a little bit more clear / unclear, maybe more clear from I don't even know. But on the next page, we say again that the focus has largely been on the abnormal, and they say prior to the publication of guidelines on normal sleep, there was actually a definition of sleep health. And I think that basically, I think what the case they're trying to make is that we haven't looked at people who have no trouble sleeping to learn from them on how we can sleep well, and that can help potentially other people who don't sleep well. Something like that, I believe, is the idea. But anyway, let's go back here and see what they did. So they say that there are some formal definitions of quote unquote sleep health. There's one author named Bussy, maybe, who has said that sleep health should encompass 5 subjective domains: satisfaction, how satisfied you are with your sleep, how alert you are, the timing of it, efficiency of it, and duration. And then they also say that more recently, the National Sleep Foundation developed and psychometrically tested their own measure of sleep health, the Sleep Health Index. And now, to be clear here, both the BUSI and the National Sleep Foundation, what they've created are basically questionnaires. They're subjective questionnaires where you ask people like, how do you feel like you slept? When do you think you woke up? Like things of that nature. And in the final part of the introduction, they say the aim of the present study was to explore how retrospective assessment of sleep health, combining recommendations from BUSI and SH, may be associated with particular subjective and objective sleep characteristics in a sample of normal sleepers. This will not only highlight how particular aspects of daily sleep may warrant further attention in relation to the deterioration of sleep health, but will also expand our knowledge of the utility of subjective sleep health measures in individuals free of sleep disorders. I don't know what that means. I literally don't know what that means. It's very unclear what they were after here. But I think, again, like it must have been something like we can look at people who have no struggle with sleep and sort of learn from them, something like that. So what did they do? Okay, let's go there. What did they do? Well, they recruited participants throughout the northern parts of the UK. And if eligible, participants were provided with 2 weeks of sleep diaries, an actigraph, which is basically like a sleep tracking device, a battery of psychometric assessments to complete at home. So that was like big, imagine these big questionnaires. I don't know, like 50-item questionnaires, something like that probably. Additionally, an appointment was made for the participant to attend a sleep laboratory approximately 14 days later. So the idea here was that, okay, you do all this, like you do the actigraphy, you answer all these questionnaires for 2 weeks, and then we do sleep study, and then we look retrospectively to see if we could sort of predict like your sleep in the sleep lab with whatever you reported before, and also like and also like measure everything and see what we find, right? Like they always do, right? So what do they find? Okay, so they do recruit 83 participants, adult participants. And what do they measure? They measure sleep health scores and subjective sleep and objective sleep, okay? So they have all these questionnaires, they have the actigraph, etc. And now it starts getting really interesting. So firstly, we can see that sleep health score were calculated from the questions identified. Again, very clear that sleep health is a subjective thing. Sleep health is something that it's basically how you feel you sleep. That's how they define sleep health. So they they reported this in two ways. One is like the continuous variable, like every participant sort of got a score, if you will. And then they also did it categorically. So they split up all the participants in like a high score and a low score group, something like that. So they can compare those two groups. Let's go to the meat of this, the results. The mean score of the measure of sleep health was 27.13 with a range from 17 to 32. I don't actually know what exactly is a high score on this, but if the range was from 17 to 32 and the mean score is 27, we can see that most people were towards 32, which is not surprising because they intentionally recruited people who had no trouble sleeping. That was the whole idea, right? There was no differences between sex on sleep health scores. And they said individuals with good and poor sleep health were then split by the median. And this is why I put a question mark here, because like, how can you say that? How can you just say that? How can you divide them into good and poor sleep health when you have this subjective measure and generally nobody had problems sleeping? That doesn't make sense to me. But what they did was they lined up all the scores they got from 17 to 32, and then the median was some number, and they said, okay, everybody below this number has poor sleep health. Everybody above this number have good sleep health. That's what they did. This resulted in 32 individuals in the low sleep health group and 42 in the high sleep health group. And all at this point, I hope it's super, super clear that sleep health really doesn't mean anything except like, how do you feel you slept? That's all it is. Okay, now I changed the markers, the color of the marker, because now I think we get into the really, really interesting stuff. Okay, subjective sleep continuity. This was the first thing they report in the results. With respect to subjective sleep continuity parameters, a significant negative correlation between sleep health and sleep latency was demonstrated. And basically, this is the smoking gun. This is the big thing. This is what they found. They found that people who reported a lower sleep health, which means that they felt they didn't sleep quite as well as the others, they also said that it took them longer to fall asleep. And how shocking is that? If you, because, you're messaging the same thing. Somebody for whom it takes a long time to fall asleep, like Mario, will probably say, I don't sleep that well because I struggle with that. And so you're saying that, you know, it's basically like saying like, poor sleep health is an indicator of poor sleep health. If it takes you long to fall asleep, that indicates that it's going to take you long to fall asleep. So this is like the thing. This correlation was like that's what they really, really emphasize. But in reality, to me, it means nothing. And then we go over to the second thing they report, was objective sleep. No significant correlations were evident between sleep health scores and sleep continuity or sleep architecture parameters as determined by a polysomnographic recording. And that's why I put like these double exclamation marks, which means that how these people here in the study, how they reported that they felt they slept, their sleep health, had no implication whatsoever on what actually happened. So people said that, people who said like it takes me a long time to fall asleep, I think so. Actually, it didn't. All of this was just one night. Still, I think it's very aligned with what we always see, that how we think we sleep is not aligned with how we objectively sleep. And I just had to put those double exclamation marks there, because I think this is the thing. Like there was no difference between the groups at all. And now somebody who reads this carefully will say, well, how about actigraphy, which I didn't highlight? With regard to sleep quality as assessed by actigraphy, like, the wrist device, something like that, a significant correlation was observed between the same two things again. So somebody may say like, okay, the EEG, the totally objective measure, didn't pick this up, but how about the Fitbit or that type of thing? It did find the same thing. Well, just wait a second, and we will get to that one, just now. So here we are. I think we're in the discussion already, and they say that as actigraphy also requires aspect of self-report, it is suggested that determining factors of sleep health are likely to be subjective, are largely subjective, and double exclamation mark here too. So the authors themselves are saying that even actigraphy, it requires us to write things down, like what time we went to bed and what we felt, and I don't know exactly, but that was also subjective. So what they're saying here is that the determining factors of sleep health are likely to be largely subjective, which is basically saying like how you feel you sleep is the best indicator of how you feel like you sleep. One subjective thing measures another subjective thing. And like this is just mind-boggling. Like it's again like the what are we doing type of thing. And now we get into like the real bizarre land thing, I think, is because they end this by saying the current findings have implications with regard to a public health agenda on sleep. The knowledge that sleep latency, how long it takes us to fall asleep, could potentially be an indicator of sleep health provides an opportunity in this context. Primarily, it provides a simple, quantifiable marker of an individual's overall sleep health, which could easily be framed in a public health campaign as an empowerment tool. Example, know your SL score, or call to action. For example, observing a negative change in sleep health status, or even a sense of improvement following a changing behavior. So basically, the authors are saying like, we can use the data we found, that how you feel about sleep determines how you feel about sleep, to like push a public agenda where you should do what exactly? Pay more attention to how you feel you sleep, so you can know that determines how you feel you sleep. Very, very confusing. Finally here, interestingly, relationships were not observed between sleep health scores and PSG markers. And, that's the end of that. Again, very, very, like, there is so much confusion in this space, and I hope that was clear to you. And now, if we go back to Mario here, I think it's so important to see that if it takes you longer than 30 minutes to fall asleep, that there's nothing in this article that implicates that will harm your health, like, your blood pressure, or your, like, your longevity, or anything like that. And again, if it takes you 2 hours to fall asleep, I think there's a lot to learn on our channel that can really help. And I hope this was part of that learning for you, Mario, and anybody else that tunes in. So, Kristen and everyone else, I'd love to hear your comments. I say Kristen because she pretty much always comments on these Heard Online episodes. And if you find clarity here on this channel in these free episodes, that is wonderful. And we would love to know about that and how you're doing it, etc. But if you'd like a little bit more help on your path to sleeping well for the rest of your life, then please let us help. We can help you. So you can head over to thesleepcodeschool.com and find several coaching options that I hope will be really helpful for you if you feel that could be something you would want to do. So that said, thanks so much for tuning in here, and look forward to having you back. Until then, take it easy.